Hi, everyone. Welcome to Wounds Wonder. Um, it's another Thursday, and we're very excited to have Nadia on the hot seat. It's so lovely to get her like live in person and to be able to pick her brain and find out so much more meaningful information and connect. So, Nadia, how are you? Before I start all that,
A little scared.
okay.
No, very happy to be able to come from this side. I'm physically on the same side, but
Yes.
side of this conversation. A lot of people are meeting me for the first time at the center, so it would be a good way for people to actually get to know a little bit about the crazy lady with the bright colored clothes.
We always love a crazy lady with bright colored clothes, and this crazy lady is our very own executive director for any new viewers watching. And it's really wonderful to have you on this seat and to be able to talk to you. Before we get rolling, just wanted to share that what I really wanted to talk to you about today was about invisible violence. We are running, as many of you already know, the Light the Path campaign to support survivors of invisible violence. But I've gotten a few questions online as well as over email asking, am I going through invisible violence? Oh, what is invisible violence? And some of them were actually some of our younger community as well as older community as well. So just wanted to talk to you about that today and what your thoughts about it and honestly how to sort of catch if you're going through it itself.
Yeah.
So what do you really think and feel is invisible violence?
My personal definition, this is not dictionary definition, but violence is anything done to me, any part of me, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional part of me, that violates my sense of dignity. And so we understand physical violence. We understand being hit because we understand someone coming into your physical space and, actually making contact with your body. But before things get physical, there's so many other things that are happening. And I think one of the hard conversations that we've had to have in this space is the fact that people want proof, right?
That is so true.
And proof means that although we are continuing to educate our women, young women, older women, and individuals about what are the steps that lead to physical violence, we vilify her for leaving before it gets physical because, well, maybe you weren't being patient enough, or maybe you should have tried, or maybe, you could have helped that person. Um, and then at the same time, if she stays after it's become violent, we vilify her there too. Well, why didn't you leave?
That's the easiest and most common. Like, why didn't you leave? Why are you still with him?
Mhm.
It's always these questions, and no one really thinks about that. At the end of the day, we're always putting women in the corner. They're always being cornered from the right, left, anywhere, and they don't really get to share from their experience that okay, this is happening to me before it gets physical, right?
Yeah.
So one of the things that you made me think about now is asking for proof, right? It always, for us to sort of accept things, it has to be tangible. We have to feel it. We have to, go through it. Otherwise, it doesn't make sense to others. So from that perspective, how do you make it make sense to yourself before you can even share?
Hmm. It's really hard to make it make sense to yourself. I'll tell you why. There are seeds that are sown before the violence becomes physical. That makes the physical violence possible. Okay.
Okay.
So let's take it out of this conversation for a little bit. I've often heard Black people watching movies about slavery say, if I was a slave, I would just rebel, I would rise up, I would fight, I would do all of this. And I am thinking, would you really? Because before you're brought across the world, for the first time in your life, you experience gunfire, right? This magic that happens when somebody stands over there, you hear a sound, you see smoke, and somebody over there far away is falling. That's not a context that you understand. So before violence becomes physical, there are many ways that power is broken down and ascribed to one person. So the power imbalance has to happen first. That happens microscopically. There are many ways that the power shifts. For a person who needs to feel power over another, every small test that they give and you concede power because why? We're taught to be nice. We're taught to be quiet and cute. So we are conditioned to cede power for the sake of being good little girls. And every test that's given and you cede power for the person who needs to have power over you, they're feeding on that. And so with every next step, it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. So long before the physical violence has happened, the person who's being victimized in this particular situation has been losing parts of themselves.
Bit by bit, like
little bit by little bit, until you don't recognize yourself anymore. And it is at that point that when the first shove, the first grab, the first punch happens, the shame immediately fills you because the person you were before you started to see power little bit by little bit would not have let that happen. And so you're there like, how did I let this happen?
So, if I understood correctly, and also feel similarly, is it's just a push. It starts with a push. A lot of people would equate that as a shove or push, like physical touch, which can happen, but it is actually a psychological push. It's pushing boundaries, pushing buttons, poking and prodding, just to see how much you let in, let go, sort of be okay with, and that's when sort of the abusers pounce. I do not have a separate word or different word for it because at the end of the day, in my head, it feels like they do pounce on you when victimizers or abusers, they, like you said, the dynamic has to shift for them to be able to do it. They realize it, and that's when they try to grab hold and then continue the cycle, right?
Absolutely, absolutely. So manipulation is one of the early things that will happen, right? And you know, manipulation is one of those things that we are so used to, right? And I mean, we're manipulated every day by the media. Every advertisement
yes.
is very grounded in psychological understanding of human behavior. And so there are two sides to that coin. There's motivation and manipulation. Motivation is when you're encouraged to do something you wanted to do, that you were probably already gonna do. Manipulation is getting you to do something that someone else wants you to do, whether or not you want it to do.
So like invisible strings, sort of.
Absolutely, right? The puppet strings.
Yeah.
So, if you were, let's use a motivation example that's widespread, right? Let's say you have a points card. You were going to buy this thing anyhow. Now you get a reward for buying the thing you were already going to buy. But with the reward, you are going to choose one card over another card because if you spend the same amount of money buying the same item on the other card, you don't get the points that you can use later. So that's a motivation factor. Manipulation is selling snake oil, right? This one glass of oil is going to cure every disease imaginable and every disease we haven't come up with yet. And don't you want to be healthy forever, right? That's manipulation. No, that's blatant manipulation. That's just flat out lying.
It's more like in your face.
Exactly, yeah. Right? So then what about the subtle things, right? Like, don't you think you should just not talk to your sisters? Because every time you talk to your sisters, you just seem to be so upset. You shouldn't talk to her. Why does she do that to you? I think you're better than her, right? I think you're stronger than her. You don't need to talk to her all the time. And so by getting you to make the decision that you don't need to talk to this person anymore, sowing those seeds of discord between you and your community. One by one, you're manipulated into removing yourself from your support system.
I was just going to say that it's like you said, it's a seed that's being sowed, but at the end of the day, it sounds so soft, so responsible for you, so caring, right? And then this person is actually what they're doing is making you feel like the ball is in your court, but then at the end of the day, they're isolating you, right? And that is honestly one of the biggest and most subtle ways people sort of separate you from support systems, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That idea of it seems so soft and it seems like if it's in care for the other person, right? And that is another one that comes up a lot. I'm just doing this because I care about you so much, right?
Yes.
I'm doing this to protect you.
I'm doing this for
I'm
you.
doing this for your own good.
For your own good, yeah.
Right?
Classics.
You know, at the end of the day, there are some things that will never be revealed on day one, right? Some things come up as we go. Going back to that original definition of a violation of my dignity, I think one of the biggest things that we don't talk about is young women spending time just getting to know yourself. It is the idea that, you know, I heard, what's his name? Oh my word. Funny man who plays Donkey on Shrek.
I'm sorry.
Mushu on Mulan.
Okay.
Why can't I call his name? I think my dad looks like him. He starred in 48 Hours. You can put it in the chat if you can remember this guy's name, because for some reason I am blanking. Eddie Murphy.
Oh, okay.
Eddie Murphy. So Eddie Murphy said that he never engaged in abusing substances. He was living this high life and partying and all this stuff.
Celebrity life, high lifestyle.
But whenever people got into it, he just leave the room. And he said, I just loved myself too much.
Mm.
And it might seem like a really arrogant thing to say, but he was really young. He would have been at possibly the most susceptible age mentally. But he knew that he loved himself and that these things wouldn't be good for him. So in terms of talking to young girls, now let's think about it, right? Our brains develop from back to front, right? Our amygdala first, which is our primate, reptilian version of ourselves, right? That's our flight, freeze, fawn, feign. I can't remember what they all are. There are 4 of them now. So first it's our fear response, our struggle to survive, our making sure that we're safe. And then it comes forward from there. So our frontal lobe, where we make executive decisions, that's the last part of our brain to develop. So when we're talking to younger children, to teens and whatnot, they're able to perceive the words that we're saying, like they understand vocabulary, but they can't quite accept the knowledge that's being passed until they have exercised that decision-making, capacity a little bit. So one of the things that I teach my daughter, whenever you're going to make a decision, big or small, I want you to ask yourself a few questions. 1, why am I doing this? If I do this, then what? Right? Is this good for me? Right? So is this good for me? Is this going to be something that I want to do, love to do, will make me healthier, stronger, wiser, better situated? But is it only good for now? Right? Sometimes things are just good for now. So if I do this, then what? Is the other thing good for me? Is the other thing after that good for me?
It's like about the trajectory, honestly, that's going on in your head, like going from one point to the other. But since we're talking about youth and young people, when I was young, I remember I had so many feelings. The science behind it you shared, how it comes to that. But all I remember are my big feelings. when I was into somebody, when I was attracted or I was falling in a crush, which happens to everyone, we're infatuated, whatever it is. I'm not really thinking of those things, right? At that age. A lot of us are not thinking of that when we're older either because we are thinking with our feelings. And that's not necessarily a bad thing because women are always, always in some capacity told, oh, you're so emotional. Oh, you know, in some cases, men are the best, actually. I do not agree at all. But all these feelings don't always equate to keeping ourselves sort of grounded or safe or thinking like these things like is it really giving for us. So in that case, and also I think you will agree, we should feel our feelings. But in this sense, when you're getting into a relationship with someone, it can be when you're young, in your teens, could be young adult, whatever it is. How do you really sort of navigate these things and sort of, when these awful seeds are being sown, when someone's trying to isolate you, how do you look out for those things? Because you're thinking with your feelings, you're not really thinking, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Well, the first thing to that is anyone who has young girls around you, start asking them to ask themselves those questions when they're really young,
Okay.
right? I mean,
Like how young do you
like 3 years old.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So, mommy, I want candy. Okay. Why? Why are you doing this? Is this good for you? If you do this, then what? Right? From small, insignificant decisions, our children need the ability to practice making decisions in safe opportunities to make mistakes that don't carry huge consequences.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So now you're a teenager, you didn't have this practice at home. You're overwhelmed by the feelings. Oh my gosh, he's so cute. Oh, he touched my pinky. He twiddled my hair.
He's wearing the best jacket. I wish you would give it to me when I was feeling cold. It just goes on like just, and you remember those beautiful feelings, right? We all went through it in some capacity. Like when you feel, that's all you're thinking. There's like you're like in this direction. You're not thinking right and left.
Yeah.
So we need to start asking these questions.
Exactly, because the key is how do I acknowledge where I am with my feelings, feel my feelings, but ask myself one really, and again, you'll hear me say this over and over, asking questions, asking questions of myself, asking questions of another. So I want to know, okay, I'm feeling all of these things. Are my eyes open or closed?
Oh, okay. That is a simple question, but you're not really thinking of it that way. No, you're not.
There were times in my younger years where I was able to ask myself those questions and times where I wasn't. And so as I look back on the circumstances around those times, to ask myself, well, how come, right? How come I made the good decision at this age and made the poor decision after, right?
Yeah.
You'd think there's a progression. You think that there is, I made
It
the
has
bad
to be.
decision
It
first and
makes
then the good
sense for
decision
it.
later, right?
Yeah.
But no, it ebbs and flows, right? Because we're learning ourselves, we're meeting ourselves in different circumstances. One of the things that I realized, and we can look through as many different points in our lives as possible to see this, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. When our most basic needs aren't met, we're more susceptible, right? You're hungry, you're tired, you're angry, you don't have shelter, you don't have clothing, right? When the lower part of that pyramid, when those parts aren't fed, we, instead of taking the road towards self-actualization, we try to shortcut it, right? With pleasure.
Like fill in the gaps.
You fill the gap, right?
Okay.
Because now self-actualization is the most euphoric that a human being could be. And so you want to feel good as opposed to being good. Right?
I think we all struggle with this,
Absolutely.
even when we get older. Essentially, sometimes we, like you said, we need to ask ourselves questions. We need to teach our young girls questions, asking questions. But then we sometimes don't want to know the answer to these questions, right? Would you believe that, or would you feel that it is also some part of conditioning by an abuser when they're around you, because they can come in any capacity. Not always we're talking about partners. They can be family members. They can be in positions of power or authority in your life. So they are sort of, like you said, sowing the seeds, but they're conditioning you, right? So what if you don't want to know the answer? So in those situations, how do you find out this is happening to you?
Well, the hardest thing is that the first people who are going to tell you are the first people that you're going to be separated from. So one of the things that I'll give this answer from two sides. So before it happens and when it's already happening. One thing I would say to any young woman is pick your person. Pick your person who, whether or not you like it, will tell you the truth. Okay? And use that person as a touch point and say, okay, this may be hard and I may not be able to see it myself, but if this person says no, I am choosing now to listen to them. The other thing is, if you're already in it, you're isolated. You went from amazing feelings of, oh my gosh, look what he got for me. Oh, look what he did for me. Or, oh, this person is so great. They've done XYZ thing for me. I'm so thankful for them, et cetera, et cetera. But then eventually you start to see the other side of the coin, right? When you start to see it, you're going to start first to rationalize. The conditioning before that person who is abusive towards you, before them, there's cultural and societal conditioning. So your natural response is going to be to rationalize their behavior by accepting responsibility right away. Do it. Accept responsibility, right? Immediately. And then ask, if I were in their shoes, what would I have done? The golden rule, do unto others as you would want them to do unto you.
Yeah.
The platinum rule, do unto others as they would want you to do unto them.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And so if I put myself in your shoes and I say, I would not have spoken to anybody like that. I would not have made that comment about that person to their face or behind their back. I wouldn't have done it to someone else. Then let that start to reveal to you. So why is it okay that it was done to me? Right? So someone has made an off the cuff remark, in passing, in a way to humiliate you, right? So let's take workplace, for example, right? They come and they drop a comment about your appearance.
It's very often common, like
Right.
across workplaces.
You didn't ask for it, you were just minding your business. They come and they drop this comment to another person within your earshot. Okay, so you immediately feel something, and then as a woman, we normally go, well, maybe I'm being a bit sensitive today, right?
Oh, so much sensitivity around us.
My period just started and probably just hormonal.
It's PMS.
Right, yeah. Right. And so you start to rationalize it away. Well, the other people laughed about it, so maybe it's me. Okay. But then you ask yourself, would you have done it? And if you can say, no, I wouldn't have done it because I wouldn't want to make someone feel what I'm feeling, then you know something is up. I'd say keep a journal. Keep a journal of every time something is said to you or about you, done to you, taken from you, that makes you feel smaller. And when you realize that your journal is overwhelmingly repeating one name, you'll recognize
A pattern.
there's a pattern.
Mm.
Okay? No, I'm sorry. I'm an actuarial science student by background. So we're plotting data sets. Okay, we're gathering data to look for the trends. When you realize that these attacks are just coming and coming and coming, you're not asking for them. You haven't done anything, right? I mean, let's be real here, right? No, I'm not saying you're antagonizing and somebody's retaliating and no, you're collecting data. That's I'm talking about these are unwarranted, uninvited attacks coming against you. Like you said, a family member, a schoolmate, whoever that person is. Now, in the case where there is no direct relationship, what's a lot easier to deal with that situation, right? But when we talk about intimate partner violence, the hard thing about intimate partner violence is the intimacy. As I heard a pastor say, intimacy. I have revealed parts of myself to you that I have not revealed to the other people out there.
I've opened myself.
I've opened myself. And you take that invitation and violate that space. There is a need for us to then protect. But we don't necessarily protect ourselves. We protect the environment.
A lot of it comes from also the tendency to nurture, to grow, to build, right? One of the reasons we wanted to do the podcast was, again, building that confidence. Sort of, we all have pain in our life in some way or the other. Not every time we can translate it. But then from that, we want to build something so that we can come out stronger. Women can do what they want, they can go forward, take it from a wound, and then do wondrous things, right? So, but it's not always like in a box, right? It's not a tick box that we can always follow. Like, oh, he said to me, today you're not looking that good, maybe you shouldn't go out. Maybe I'm not feeling well. This is where I hear after you said like the rationalization happens. But then what if it actually means that I should take care of myself? But these are these small things, right? When they know that these things are going to affect you. One of the things about intimate partner violence, because what you said, the pastor mentioned that intimacy, they intimately know you. They know what makes you tick. They know what makes you hurt, be happy. And they sort of pick those pain points and then they sort of stage it, right? And we end up walking right into it.
Yeah.
But is it always just the emotional part? Because we had our last podcast and we had a wonderful guest when we discussed about financial abuse. And there are so many layers to invisible violence, right? So I'm going to come back to that and ask you. We've talked about financial violence, but it's very subtle as it goes. But it's not only that. We meet so many people online now. People are dating. I met my husband online. So a lot of people are dating and going online, meeting people. Intimate partner violence exists online as well. But then how do we figure that out? You don't really think about it, do you?
Well, I mean, partner, right? Versus,
Partner.
right. So, again, in any form that my dignity is being attacked, right? However it's coming. Sticks and stones may break my bones. That's cute for kids to say, but we know it's not real. Words cut deep.
So much.
Words vocalized, words written, right? Images, right? Pictures worth 1,000 words. These things all cut deep.
Yeah.
Recognizing it, honestly, it's mostly about being able to turn within. In a lot of the workshops that we have here at the Women's Center of Halton, it's a lot about self-care. It's about that internal healing. And it has to be internal healing because that ability to look within is degraded over the years, right? As you go through these experiences, that is just chipped away and chipped away and chipped away. You become, your shame is outward looking. Shame is not as inward looking as we like to think, right? Because if it happened and, it's it's not just that it happened, it's if people found out that it happened, right?
It's all about what people might think and might say, right?
Exactly.
Mm.
So guilt is inward, shame is outward,
Yes.
right? So when we are able to once again look within, that's where we say it's a practice, right? We have to be doing that all the time. So if you are in a situation where I call it your mind is waking up, right? I call it, like your mind is waking up because when you're swirling and you're here, you're in the back of the head, right? But then slowly
very slowly,
you start to wake up. If you're here, I can't talk to you. There's no advice I can give to you right now. There's nothing I can say to you.
You won't even see it, right?
You won't hear it. You won't
like,
recognize any of it. We can't talk to you when you're in that situation.
More surface level.
Exactly.
You're not connecting to it.
You can't, right? I mean, just the way how your endocrine system is overworking, the direction that your neurons are firing, you're not forming synapses, you're not able to absorb new information. So when we're scared and panicking and whatnot, we cannot take this information. So this information is for the people who are starting to wake up, right? You're starting to come to yourself, if you will. And for those around you who love you, who in seeing you in that position also went to their right.
Yeah, because they're starting the process.
Exactly.
Because now they know.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if not most of the times, we hide ourselves from people because we switch codes. We share some parts of ourselves with friends, family, colleagues, and also our partners. They all see different versions of ourselves. But when someone is going through intimate partner violence, a lot of us tend to hide it. We want to close ourselves off. One thing is, if we hide it, people won't know what's actually happening. Maybe it's in your head. Another part of this is gaslighting, right? It's a new term young people are using, but it's so real.
It's a much older term than we realize. It's from a movie called Gaslight. And in the movie, it was a psychological thriller where the husband was moving things around in the house, but then telling her that he hadn't moved it, right? And there was some imagery and metaphoric use of the old street lights that were lit. Every evening, someone will have to come and actually light the light, ignite the, I don't know, whatever the words are, but so, and that was a much older movie, but yes, it's become more popularized now for sure.
But the experience is real.
Absolutely,
it's happening to so many women.
Yes,
they're being gaslit, and that is a form of emotional abuse
and doing it to ourselves.
Yeah,
right. Again, rationalizing things away. Okay, so you're in a situation, you're uncomfortable. What is the last emotion that you actually genuinely felt? Right?
Yeah.
What is the last emotion that you actually genuinely felt? When we are wearing the mask so that no one else knows the shameful thing that we feel guilty about, we start to mirror. So I no longer feel most of these emotions. I'm a little dissociated, maybe, right? So I'm no longer really feeling these emotions. So when I'm in a social setting, I look around me to see how other people are reacting, to see what I should do. Oh, right, because they laughed, right?
It must be funny.
Right.
It must make sense.
Right. Oh, because they were surprised, So I'm looking to somebody else to instruct me on how to be, feel, act, regulate, show up in this space.
Yeah.
Somebody comes into the office, I'm so upset. Did you get that email? I'm so upset. And you go, yeah, I'm so upset about the email. I actually had this conversation once, and somebody comes in, they're all upset about some email or another, and they go, "Aren't you upset?" And I said, "I don't know yet." Right? They're like, "What do you mean you don't know?" I said, "Well, I don't know if what they asked for was reasonable or not. After the meeting, I'll go find out, was this a reasonable request or are you just, blocking progress? If you're just blocking progress, I'll get upset then. If it's a reasonable request, well, then I got to do it. So I don't have to be upset or not." They did not like that answer because they
I can
wanted
imagine.
more upset people.
Yeah, you want
right?
to feel. It's like a shared feeling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so ask yourself, are you genuinely feeling things or are you mirroring?
This is something I've actually not thought about because we're all in different settings, right? Even if we're going through intimate partner violence, and a lot, a lot of us just tend to sort of be tiptoeing around others and seeing how they're reacting, and then we're sort of adjusting our reaction. And it is a socialization sort of way it's done, right? Like, oh, you're socialized to do it, you're conditioned to do it this way. Because if you share your true feelings, if it's not accepted, it comes back to what you said. We're looking to people for like telling us that this is okay or this is.
I mean, socially acceptable behavior to me is very different from emotional experience, right?
But we can't always equate,
And so this is
right?
where we start talking about it because then we start realizing, oh, wait a minute, I do need to separate these two things,
Yes.
right? So, for example, I might be pissed off, right? I might want to throw a vase like really bad.
Why the poor vase?
Because it's right there.
Maybe the laptop where you got the email, fine.
Maybe, right?
But,
I might want to just
stick it out.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's not socially acceptable behavior. That's also not growth, right? Some things that I take my mentees through. What are you feeling right now? Why are you feeling this particular feeling? What about this situation brought this specific feeling up for you? Is this the most helpful emotion for you right now? Right? So you talked about feeling what we feel. We should absolutely feel what we feel because we need to know why we're feeling it.
Yeah.
So for example, I'm not upset at the whole meeting, right? I'm not upset at, my entire relationship with this person. I'm not upset about everything that's happened today. I'm feeling disappointed because specifically you said you were gonna. And it's not that you didn't this time, it's that every time you say you're going to, you don't. And specifically at the point where you shrugged your shoulders like it didn't matter that you didn't do the thing you said you were gonna. I'm feeling disappointed. Is this the most helpful feeling for me right now? That depends on how important the thing was, right? Before we can act, we must understand what's happening within ourselves. So before I say, okay, so here are some tips, talk to your partner and make sure that, you set your boundaries. So before I can say, all right, well, you need to find out from your partner, how come you never, whenever you say you're gonna, right? They might say, well, things are really hard for me right now. And that could be true, right? Or they might say, you're not bothering me. What are you bothering me for, right? Until we understand what's happening in our internal worlds, the things that are happening in our external worlds will continue to feel like two separate experiences. As a teenager, I dealt with, we didn't have words at that point, right?
No terminology.
Yeah, right. But I dealt with depression as a teenager. I didn't know that's what was happening. And I realized that I would show up one way at church, another way at school, and another way at home. And I remembered about 17 years old, I said to myself, I don't even feel like wearing one face. I'm so tired of having more than one face. I'm so tired. That emotional exhaustion,
The weight.
the weight of it all, of showing up at church with certain expectations and at school with certain expectations and at home with certain expectations, and it's everybody else's expectations all, and you're trying to figure out how to be in these spaces. And because you're following the socially acceptable rules that you're conditioned into versus checking in. So now you're doing the things that are socially acceptable in each of these spaces, but you're not being you. Intimate partner violence and invisible violence dictates how you should show up in multiple spaces. The violation of your dignity is whether that dictate matches who you are or not. First of all, it shouldn't be dictated. It should be an invitation, right? For you to choose how you're going to show up in any of these spaces and support for however you choose to show up, right? And so understanding your internal world becomes our starting point. When we wake up, and I say that having experienced intimate partner violence, I say that having made the excuses, having apologized for that person's behavior.
We've all been there.
Right? Having to endure the many messages all throughout the night, right? From 2 a.m. till about 7 a.m., like a whole cycle, this up and down, right? And we've seen this cycle before. The I love you, and I wish we could do this, and why don't you?
The love bombing, and
right? Yeah,
like.
And that's the part that we soak up because again, we are trying to shortcut self-actualization. We don't know that that's what we're doing, but that's what we're doing. We're trying to shortcut self-actualization instead of going through the hard steps to meet ourselves and find out who we want to be. We just want to feel good, and that's because our actual experience of the emotion and our social conditioning to show up in the space are two separate things, right? So we're walking this earth as multiple people, but we're meant to be one glorious, magical, wonderful person, integral, whole. I love the word shalom for peace, because if you break it down, it means nothing is missing, nothing is broken. You are whole. Your sense of peace comes from a sense of knowing I am who I am meant to be, I am where I am meant to be, I am loving all of this, even the hard things, because now the hard
all
things,
of it is you.
All of it is me, all of it has a purpose, there's a reason for it all. I don't know the reason and I don't have to. I'm here for the exploration, right? And so when we are living these two separate lives, and sometimes it's more than two, right? Because they're telling you how to show up in their space, and then you go to your family and they want you to show up a different way, and you go to your place of worship and they want you to show up a different way. You go to work and there are different expectations there. And so if you are not coming in fully as you, where are you leaving all these parts of yourself, and who has power over them? So in order to recognize that violence is happening, right? My dignity is being attacked. We must first understand where dignity lies.
But it's so much hard work.
It is hard work.
It is so much hard work.
And
a lot of times we fall back in patterns ourselves, even if we
Absolutely.
start doing the hard work, right?
And that's okay. That's actually part of the process. That's a part that we don't know we get to forgive ourselves for, because we were told to be perfect.
It doesn't exist though.
No.
But we were told.
We were told to be perfect.
We were molded
Princesses.
in a way. Yes. Yeah, we should be seen but not always heard because
and be beautiful when you're seen, no
yes.
matter, right? Pain, what beauty is pain, right? All these kinds of things that we were told. And so, but we don't know that we get to forgive ourselves for the relapses too, because it's actually a part of the growing process. I talk about it like stretching a rubber band. I've actually heard my mother use this analogy long after I used it, by the way, mother. But
someone's keeping track. Okay.
I think of it as stretching a rubber band. Okay. So her point was, if you have multiple rubber bands together, it's much harder to pull them. That's where community comes in, right? But if you think about stretching a rubber band back and forth, so let's think about the rubber band as something that is not healthful, right, for us. And so when it comes to breaking a bad habit, breaking a destructive relationship, breaking poor decision-making patterns, breaking cycles, right? We stretch and release over and over. They come back. But that rubber band never returns to its original form.
It changes, right? It's never linear.
Exactly. And then the more we doing this makes us stronger, right? So the more we stretch and the more we stretch, eventually the rubber band pops. And there's no way to put it back together.
No.
Right? Because now we're too evolved to be locked into these particular problems anymore. We'll face new problems.
Yeah.
Right? We'll deal with new mountains and new monsters. But right now, this one, we've broken this one. And so when we stretch that decision-making muscle, right, a little bit at a time and a little bit at a time, we get to surprise ourselves. Oh, I didn't know I had that much capacity. I didn't know I had that ability to extend.
That is such a glorious thing, because you're getting to know more about yourself, your layers. I'm a big Shrek fan.
But yeah, you did not know Eddie Murphy.
I'm sorry. I knew Eddie Murphy. I just didn't know the other reference. Anyway, keeping score, someone. Moving on. But we are sort of like onions, right? We have so many layers. And the more we sort of peel back the layers, the more we know ourselves, the stronger we get.
Absolutely.
And we are scared of that strength sometimes. But then we are full of that strength. And that is so beautiful, right? That is so wondrous. And going through all these different experiences where someone is trying or already successfully eroding you over and over again, just realizing that and even acknowledging that is like a massive step, right? And then eventually, like you said, we can pull the rubber band and then change it from rubber band, become something else. But abusers don't like that, though.
Oh, no.
No one likes you
absolutely
if you change yourself and you get better.
Oh, yeah.
And they're very violent about it. And
in fact, that's actually where the violence increases.
Yes.
When they've lost power.
Yes. Okay. The dynamic has shifted differently than they wanted. So, but then if we can try to sort of do the front decision making, sort of making our muscles work for us slowly but surely, then we can sort of catch ourselves before someone can hurt us. We can try. A lot of people might be thinking that it's easier said than done, and that's 100%. I cannot imagine the depth of pain women have to go through to survive these experiences. But they're worth it. They're worth the hard work, right? And in those moments, say they've opened their eyes. You were talking about waking up, right? So from that perspective, they have at that some point in life opened their eyes. What would you share with them for the next step? Because that's scary.
Call the first person that comes to your mind the minute you wake up, right? Call the first person that comes to your mind. I am not saying this from a perspective of, oh, just do that. It's so easy to do, right? Mm-hmm. I'm talking about my living asleep and my own wake up. I remember I run into one of my mentors in a mall parking lot.
Okay, nice.
And I hadn't seen him or his wife. They both mentored me for some time, but run into him there, and he goes, "How are you doing?" And he's one of those people who doesn't ask the general, oh, how are you? You go, I'm fine. I knew he wanted a real answer. And I said, I don't know. I can't feel anything. And then he said, this happens, especially to women. I want you to promise me two things. Don't stay here too long. Don't make any permanent decisions when you're in this space. My answer to a previously asked question, what do we do when we think someone else is in that situation? Do not be cut off. Do not let them cut you off. It is as hard as the supporter to watch it happen as the person in it. You're actually secondarily exposed to that violence. It's really hard to be the support.
It's like passive smoking.
Absolutely.
You're not doing it,
but you get
but
that
you're
second
getting
hand,
that experience.
right?
Yeah.
And so don't be cut off. Show love. We want to fix it. Oh, we want to jump in right away and fix it. We want to go rescue. We want to pull them out, but it has to be their decision. Because you rescue them, you pull them out, guess what? They're going right back. Not because she's stupid, not because she's a fool, not because she's bewitched behind this man. That was a very Beijing,
Okay.
She's bewitched behind this man, right? Not for those reasons, but because her conditioning has been remade. And the counterbalance to that is unconditional, unwavering love. Be there. So when you wake up, you call the first person that comes to your mind if you're in it. If you're the person on the outside, be the person they call. Right? If they have courage for just a moment, be who they think about. Which is why at the center we have to make sure we're always here to answer the phone. We have to make sure that whenever she walks through the door, that we're here to do nothing but what else. Just love on her. Home, center, community. That's what we provide here. Because it takes so much bravery, and we don't understand this. Getting from here to here and then taking action is brave. And we don't get to set a timeline. We don't get to tell her when she's got to wake up. We just have to be here when she does. The minute she extends her hand, you run, you grab her, you hold her, and you remind her that you loved her the entire time. And that no matter if she goes back or not, you still love her. You're still here. And this is not enabling. This is not, oh, you should apologize to him. This is not, you should fix it. Oh, he's a good man. He provides for you. That's not that. That's something different. This is about intimacy. The cure to intimate partner violence is intimate community. If she
Okay.
if she can't have someone to fill that void that has been violated, right? Talk about wounds to wonder.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a deep wound, it has to be packed, right?
Yeah.
So you see, like on the movies or whatever,
to wrap it up.
Right, exactly. Well, before they wrap it up, they shove, material or dirt or something inside.
Yeah.
Okay.
To cover it up.
Do you know why?
No, actually.
Because if the wound is too deep, right, when it heals, it's going to heal from the top. And it's never going to actually heal inside.
Oh.
And it's
on the surface, but there's still the gap there.
There's still the gap.
Oh.
And the gap cannot heal. And so now you will have all these residual complications, gangrene, right? So infection, gangrene, all of this can then happen. So you have to pack it because the surface is what will heal. And as it heals, you pack less and you pack less and you pack less. Intimate partner violence creates wounds within our souls and within our spirits. And we need to pack that wound with love and care and kindness and tools and skills and a sense of power. And that happens in community. That does not happen in isolation. So, organizations like ours, and the amazing people who work here, and the fantastic volunteers who serve here, we are the way that we fight intimate partner violence. The more healed women who can imagine again and explore their wondrousness that we have, the more people are ready to pack those wounds as soon as she wakes up. I wish I could tell you that there's a quick fix, that there's a way to just get in and rescue them all, that if we have more police, or if we have more jails, if we got more, I wish I could tell you that that was the answer. But she has to be strong enough, and that's what we're here for.
That is such a beautiful way to wrap up today's episode. But on that note, when we're talking of community, I'm going to bring out grandmother's box very soon. But I think that's what we can do. In many conversations we've had prior and also today, it's sometimes as simple and as hard as just being there. And we, from the team, through our amazing volunteers, to our amazing facilitators, we all are trying our level best to be there for all these amazing women that we work with and serve. And honestly, even from a very personal level, what you said, we should just love, no matter how much they go back, they come forward, they do back and forth, whatever it is. The woman, that wonderful one woman, should know that they are not alone. Even if they are maybe making themselves feel that way, maybe they feel that way, maybe it's coming up that way, but we in our power, because we can only control what we do, right? So we should always try our best to make them feel that you're not alone. I'm here, there for you. So thank you so much, Nadia.
Thank you.
We need to do this again. I know we have a lot of different plans and everything. We absolutely have to do this again. I do not know even how time's gone. I think we'll get to the box, but for new viewers, we have this amazing box, which is essentially the grandmother's box, where we try to put in wisdom and amazing feelings that we've had related to our different experiences, right? And before anyone says anything, Nadia has already started writing.
I did, because we came across this poem pretty coincidentally.
Yes.
And I mean, maybe I've heard the poem before, I don't know. But when we decided to call the podcast Wounds to Wonder, there was a lot of discussion around what it is that we really wanted to convey. It's not like we sat down one day and went, "Ooh, we want to do that." And so this was really built out of that idea of, what does healing look like? Well, healing looks like our ability to imagine again and to play again. So when I saw this poem by Amanda Gorman, I was just completely drawn to it. We will raise the wounded world into a wondrous one. The new dawn blooms as we free it, for there is always light. If only we're brave enough to see it, if only we're brave enough to be it. I mean, that's it right there.
God. So much feels, guys. I mean, honestly, I hope we can all go from our wounds and then feel wonder. And I think the best way to do it is honestly together.
Absolutely.
And on that note, thank you everyone for tuning in. We're going to be wrapping up soon. And if you have any questions about the Light the Path campaign, as well as any other questions related to invisible violence, please shoot. And honestly, we love to hear from you. And thank you for everyone who's doing the DMs. I'm answering them. And if you have questions specifically for Nadia, just shoot a message. I'll definitely get it across to her. And if I'm going to try my best to have her on the hot seat more. Honestly, I was so happy to get her here. And thank you for giving me your time. I know you're super busy running the world. So thank you. Honestly, it's really lovely having you here. Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you, everyone.